work it, make it, do it. Makes us harder, better, faster, stronger.
That don't kill me, can only make me stronger. I need you to hurry up now, cause I can't wait much longer. I know I got to be right now, cause I can't get much stronger. Man, I've been waiting all night now, that's how long I've been on ya. Let's get lost tonight. You could be my black Kate Moss tonight. Play secretary, I'm the boss tonight. And you don't give a what they all say, right? Awesome.
Listen, let's go ahead and turn in to Genesis chapter 12. That's right, Genesis chapter 12. I am excited about this opportunity. Make sure you tag somebody. Tell them to tune in now. The word is about to be rich in this place. I'm excited. We're in our series. This is the first one. That's right. In our new series entitled Living My Best Life. I'm telling you, living my best life. Ain't got time for none of you sinners. Living my best life. Ain't got time for none of you haters. Yeah. What did y'all think I was going to say? I am living my best life, and I'm excited about this series. Turn with us to Genesis chapter 12, verse number 1 through 3. That's where we want to land today. Genesis 12, verse 1 through 3. Listen to what the word of the Lord says. The Lord had said to Abram, go from your country, your people, and your father's household to the land that I will show you. I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. Listen at this. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those that bless you. God is talking to you too. And whoever curses you, he says, I'll curse them. And all the people of the earth will be blessed through you. I want to talk for a few moments with this thought in our mind. I'm living my best life. Come on, I need you to type it there. Type it in the comments. I'm living my best life. Come on, type it there. You got to speak it. You got to see it before you see the manifestation. I am living my best life. In John 10:10, the Bible says, the thief comes but for to steal, kill, and to destroy. Jesus says, but I have come that you might have life and have that life more abundantly. It is very clear, Jesus makes it clear that we can live our best lives, not just in heaven, but on earth. My father has a saying that he says, and that is, a little faith will get you to heaven, but a lot of faith will bring heaven to you on earth. I say that because when making the statement, he was referring to not to subpar living. He wasn't referring to barely getting by on earth, but Jesus was referring to us living the abundant, a purpose-filled life, having more than enough, so that we can not only just take care of our needs, but we're able to help somebody else. Here is the purpose of it. The purpose of me living the abundant life is to show sinners and Christians alike that the God we serve is real. It lets somebody else know you don't have to live that life in order to have what you have. But it's encouraging to believers because we can look at the manifestation of what happens when you live the God quality life. Now, when I say the abundant life, I'm not talking about in quantity. I'm talking about in quality. Did you get that? I didn't say in quantity, but I said in quality, because the difference is you can have the God kind of life in quality and not necessarily quantity. The honest reality, if you were to ask people, most people would say, I don't feel like I'm living the God kind of life. I don't feel like I'm living that. I don't feel like it. I feel like I have to go to work. Because if I don't, I won't be able to take care of the necessities. I have to do certain things. I can't just take vacation once a year. I can't take it every other year. Some people feel like they can't because of the pressures of life. I want to say this, and that is there are two forces that come against us. Number one, it's the forces of God and of the enemy. Let me say that again. God is fighting for us. He's spoken it over our lives. He showed us in his word that he wants us to live that God quality, a productive life. And the enemy knows it, so he fights or come against us not to receive that. So we have God voting for us and the enemy voting against us. Can I say this, Cyber Sanctuary? It's your vote, it's my vote that determines who wins. If God is saying I can make it, and the enemy is saying I cannot make it, it's whatever I say that determines which one will be manifested in my life. Are y'all getting this? So here it is. There is a book that was written, think about this, in 1938, but it wasn't published until 2011. It was written in 1938, but it wasn't published until 2011 because people thought it was too controversial. Think about that. What was the book entitled, Pastor? Outwitting the Devil. I want you to get this. It was written in 1938, but it wasn't published until 2011 because they thought it was too controversial. And the book was entitled Outwitting the Devil. It was written by a gentleman by the name of Napoleon Hill. Hill said in this fictional interview that the devil confesses going after people that he think about this, that are drifting in life by not having self-confidence. They're living from paycheck to paycheck. They have more credit cards maxed out. They lack enthusiasm and they have lack of self-control over their emotions. Their personality is unattractive to other people and they have opinions, listen at this, about everything. Let me pause there and just ask, have you ever met people like that know something about everything but very little about something? I mean, you could talk to them about baseball. They know baseball. You talk to them about building a house. They're an expert at building a house. You talk to them about NASCAR. They're an expert at NASCAR. You talk to them about nails. They know something about everything. Listen to what he says. Their personality is unattractive to other people. They have opinions about everything, but a lack of knowledge over some things. They have little to no imagination. They don't begin anything unless they're forced to. They are narrow-minded and ready to argue with anyone that opposes them. They are indecisive and void of making decisions. Woo! Do you know people like that? I know somebody in the Cyber Sanctuary saying, Pastor, I know a few people like that. Listen to this. They would rather lie than admit they don't know something. They blame others for their lives and take no personal responsibility for the role in which they play. Hill says that those who act like that are drifting away. They have no sense of life or directions, unquote. Did you hear that? I need you to get that in your spirit. In other words, you can have the best intentions in the world, but it's what you're doing. Can I give us a kingdom nugget? And this is the premise for the message for today. It'll be on the screen for you. But your kingdom nugget is this: what determines destiny is not my intentions, but my directions. What determines my destiny they're not my intentions, but my directions. Legacy, think about this, because legacy is something handed down from one generation to another. And we can hand down a legacy or an inheritance of faith. We can hand down a legacy of property, assets. We can hand down a legacy of faith. We can hand down a legacy of love, peace, a good name. Think about this. Whenever we're talking about what we're handing down, we don't want to leave a legacy of invaluable things, but you want to leave something that's lasting and long, that will live long after you're gone. I believe this with all of my heart, and I'll pause right here and keep the car running. I believe that I'm living off of some of the prayers of my grandparents. I believe that I'm living and experiencing what I'm experiencing because of the prayers, the sacrifices of my mom, the sacrifices of my dad, my aunts, my uncles, others that have spoken into my life and over my life. I believe that I'm living because they passed down a legacy and inheritance that kept us grounded and rooted in God. So here it is. Principle number one, write it down. I need you to get this. Principle number one, write this down. Here it is. Your legacy can be measured by the impact you made in the lives of people around you. Did you hear that? I want to say it again for somebody in the back. Your legacy can be measured by the impact you made in the lives of the people around you. See, you should be making deposits into people's lives. You know, when you're long gone, even if they leave you, even if they quit the job, even if they move out of the community, whenever your name comes up, they ought to be able to say, when I was around them, they spoke positive things into my life. I'm experiencing what I'm experiencing because Brother John talked it up. I'm going through what I'm going through in a positive way because Sister Susie spoke it over my life. Do y'all get that? If it wasn't for Elder Freeman taking time to talk to me, I wouldn't be where I am. If it wasn't for Minister Gail taking time to pray with me, I wouldn't be in the position I'm in. Our legacy is measured by the impact. See, people are remembered for what they've done for others, not for what they've done for themselves. We had a staff development meeting a couple of weeks ago, and one of the things I shared with the staff was, you're going to be remembered by the problems you solve or the problems you cause. Yeah, people going to remember you. Either you're going to be a headache or you're going to be a welcomed somebody because they appreciate your value in what you add to the team. See, the truth of the matter is, either you're adding or you're subtracting. I hope you got this. So my legacy is measured by the impact I made. God comes to Abram. Let's look at the text. God comes to Abram and he tells him, I want to establish a legacy for you. And I'm going to use you to hand down the legacy. It's going to be something that's bigger than yourself. Listen at this. He says, I'm going to make you a great nation. I'm going to bless you. And then I'm going to bless other people. Think about this. God says, I'm going to bless you. And then I'm going to bless other people. Can I give you principle number 2? I want you to get it. Cyber Sanctuary, write it down. It's going to be there. Screenshot it. The legacy of your relationships is more important than your accomplishments. The legacy of your relationships is more important than your accomplishments. God says, I'm going to make your name great and a great nation. See, your legacy will be connected to who you bless. Think about this. Your legacy is not about what you do for yourself, but your legacy is connected to who you empower. Who are you helping? Who did you speak life into? We remember Mother Teresa for what she did for others. We remember Dr. Martin Luther King for what he did for others. We remember Harriet Tubman for what she did for others. We don't remember people for what they do for themselves. Nobody wants to be associated with somebody that's selfish and that's only speaking and thinking about themselves. We remember great men and great women for what they did for somebody else. Are y'all with me today? Are y'all with me today? So here it is. The legacy of your relationship is more important than your accomplishments. Stephen Covey says, legacy, and I quote, legacy is about your character and relationships. They represent your primary greatness. Your secondary greatness is what comes after your relationships and character. Did y'all get that? He says your relationships is first. It's primary. But what comes after the relationships is secondary. So look at verse number 2. Verse number 2 says, and I will make you into a great nation. I will bless you and I'll make your name great. Sometimes, think about this, to walk into destiny, it's going to require faith in the process. Remember what God told Abraham? I want you to leave your father's house. Abraham says, okay, I'm packing up. Where am I going? To a land that I'll show you. Huh? Can I talk to a wife, a spouse, a boo or a bae, somebody that can say, your significant other can call you and say, hey, pack your bags, we're getting ready to go. Okay, cool, where we going? I'll tell you when we get there. Huh? I mean, it's almost like Minister Jimmy calling his wife. Babe, I know you ready to move. Go ahead and get the boxes, pack everything up. We moving. So Tiffany say, yes, we're moving. Good. Where are we moving to? I'll tell you when we get to the house. Huh? She gonna get off that phone and say, I'm not packing no bags. Stay with me. Stay with me. Think about this. He says, I want you to leave. Where am I going, God? I'll tell you when you get there. Huh? Get to walking and I'll tell you. So in order to walk into destiny, sometimes we've got to walk in faith. The people that represent Abraham's future, he hasn't met yet. The people that represent his future, he don't know. So in order to meet them, he's got to use faith and walk away from what he's comfortable in, what he's comfortable doing, and who he's comfortable being around. Think about it. If I want to own a McDonald's, I've got to become uncomfortable with people that just love clocking in. I've got to start thinking like the people that own it, talking to managers. If you just want to stay in the cubicle all your life, nothing is wrong with that. That's a stable, consistent paycheck. And if you want to do that, that's good. But if you want to be the supervisor or the manager, you've got to think like them. You've got to talk like them. And you've got to become unsatisfied with just clocking in, doing what everybody else does. See, God will connect us with the right people and that will get us to where we want to be. Think about it. Although you don't know them and they don't know you, you'll know it was a God connection because when y'all meet up, it'll be instant. Oh, God. There's a connection that'll come when you meet up. And then you go to saying, where were you 10 years ago? Well, maybe you weren't ready to meet them. Maybe they weren't ready to meet you. Can I talk to a single person? This is why you've got to take this time. Don't cry. Don't beat yourself up because you feeling lonely. I got to have somebody. I got to get somebody. I got to get somebody. No. Take time. Enjoy your singleness. Enjoy everything that comes with it. Build yourself up. And when you meet Mr. Right, when you meet your princess, then you will appreciate them because they'll come at the right time. God help me talk to you. Don't confuse a divine direction with personal desires. Yeah. Sometimes God can give us a divine direction, but because of our personal desires, we get the two confused. Let me give you an example. Just because Minister Freeman burnt the eggs again, Elder Freeman, this is hypothetical, y'all, doesn't mean you say, I'm tired of this, Pastor, it's time for me to go. No. That's personal desires. Maybe you got to take over and cook for a little while to show her how to do it. That's personal desires. Don't ever make the mistake of confusing your personal desires with their divine directions. Are y'all hearing this? Look at verse number 3. He says, I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you, I will curse them. And all the people of the earth will be blessed through you. Now, I need you to get this. Pay attention to this. In the Hebrew syntax of the grammar of the context, the promise from God to bless and curse was not about Abraham where he was, but it was about where he was leaving. Listen to this. In the Hebrew syntax and the grammar of the context, the promise from God to bless and curse was not about where Abraham was going, but where Abraham was leaving. Did you hear that? God says, when you leave your daddy's house, oh God, some people are going to be happy for you. But there are going to be a lot of people that's going to be angry with you. They're going to be upset with you. But don't worry about them. I will bless everybody that bless you. And for everybody that curse you and say you'll never make it, I'll curse them. God help me talk in here. For everybody that said you had a baby out of wedlock, you just like your grandma. You just like your daddy. You just like your sister. You'll never be nothing. For everybody that treats you like that, God says, I'll handle them. You just keep walking. God help me talk in here. He's telling Abraham what's going to happen is everybody won't be happy. Can I tell you something in the cyber sanctuary? When you start to going after what God has for you, reaching for those greater things, living your best life, everybody will not be happy for you. But don't you take a moment to deal with them. God says, I'll bless everybody that blesses you. And I'll deal with everybody that says you'll never make it. You just have to keep walking and let me handle the small talk. I need you to type it in the comments. I'm not going to deal with haters. I'm not going to give them the time. I'm not going to give them the energy. I'm not going to give them a platform. Let them talk. I'm going to keep on walking. God, I like that. While they're talking, you keep walking, because your blessing is not in what they're saying. Your blessing is in where God said you need to go. God, I hope you got that. It's kind of like one of my favorite movies, Black Panther. It's about to get good now. Black Panther. You remember Black Panther? T'Challa and M'Baka. Remember at the end when T'Challa was supposed to be the next king in line, and M'Baka makes a move for the throne because they thought that T'Challa had died. Think about this. And so they got into the fight, and M'Baka is beating T'Challa. You remember that? I mean, M'Baka is beating T'Challa. I mean, just tearing him up, taking him to town. I mean, he putting in work on him. And out of nowhere, think about this, T'Challa gets a vision of his mother. You remember Angela Bassett, Ramonda? Yeah. He gets a vision of his mother, and where she says, T'Challa, show him who you are. And he got up and he said, my name is T'Challa, son of Achak. And he began to beat M'Baka to pieces. Y'all remember that? Can I tell you something? When the devil tells you what you can't do, I'm telling you to rise up and show him who you are. When the enemy says you can't buy that house, you need to rise up and show him who you are. When the devil says you can't afford that car, you need to show him who you are. When people say you can't keep a man, I'm telling somebody, show him who you are. When he say you can't keep a woman, it's time to show him who you are. When the devil said you'll never make it, you're going to live from paycheck to paycheck, I want Cyber Sanctuary to understand that's the time for you to buckle down and show him who you are. Your name is heir and joint heir. You're above only and not beneath. You are the lender and not the borrower. You are always on top, never on bottom. It's time for you to show him who you are. Oh, God. Well, who are you then? My name is Milton. I'm son of the Most High God. My name is Milton. I'm the lender and not the borrower. I am the head and not the tail. I need somebody to type it in the comments. Just go ahead and put your name and type who you are. Yeah. I'm the righteousness of God. I'm healed and delivered. I'm blessed when I go out. I'm blessed when I come in. Somebody need to type it there. I am a child of God. I'm going to make it. I'm going to thrive and not survive because I'm going to live my best life. God, here it is. Write it down. Write it down. It's going to be on the screen for you. I need you to get this one. I need you to get this one. He tells him to show him who you are. Show him. Show him who you are. Show him who you are. Why do you say that, Pastor Ian? The interesting thing is we've got to remember now we cannot live our resume. We must live our eulogy. Oh, God. Man, I feel like talking in here now. Let me say it again. We can't live our resume. We've got to live our eulogy. What do you mean, Pastor Ian? Live a life so that the preacher don't have to lie while standing over you. Live a life where people, when they get up, they can do the eulogy themselves. I remember Sister So-and-so. I know what they did to me. I live a life where when people come and talk about you, they are eulogizing you, and all the preacher got to do is preach to those that's in the room that's walking around with a heavy heart. Well, what are you saying, Pastor Ian? Think about this. Your eulogy is what's on people's heart. Your resume is what goes on paper. Did y'all hear that? Your eulogy is what you leave on people's heart, but your resume is what goes on paper. And anything that goes on a resume, you can change. I know a young man that filled out a resume. He put some stuff on there that when he applied for a job, they created a position for him based off of what was on his resume, some stuff he had never done. You can put what you want on paper, but your eulogy is what's on people's heart. God help me talk. So here's your kingdom shout. Are you ready for it? I hope you're ready for it. Here it is. In order for him to leave, he's got to be in a position where he's ready to experience greatness. Come on. Here it is. Here's your kingdom shout. In 2021, stop hanging out with people that represent your history and start hanging out with people that represent your future. God help me talk. Don't let people keep you handcuffed to your past when God has freed you so you can walk in your future. Can I tell somebody this in the cyber sanctuary? What God has for you is better than what you've already seen. I'm telling you, God got some things that eyes haven't seen, ears haven't heard, neither has it entered the hearts of man. The good things that God has in store for you, you just must be comfortable reaching for something greater. Oh God, can I say this? And I'm getting ready to close. Become comfortable with change. Pastor, what do you mean? Abraham, or Abram at the time, was comfortable in Haran. He was comfortable. He was set. His future was secure. And God is saying, you'll never get everything I have for you as long as you're comfortable where you are. Remember, in chapter number 11, his father Terah was supposed to be on the way to the land of Canaan. But he stopped at a place called Haran, and the Bible says he settled there. He became comfortable in a place that should have been a pit stop. He made, God thank you, he made a pit stop the palace. Woo! And I'm telling somebody, don't you make where you are your lasting stop. No, 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 no. This is just a pit stop on the way to the palace. Thank God for this job, but this ain't what God showed me in my vision. I'm going to use it. I'm going to appreciate it. I'm going to take the vacation days. I'm going to take the PTO, but I'm telling you, it's just a pit stop on my way to what God has shown me. Am I talking to anybody in here? Here it is. Verse number 1, the Lord had said to Abram. In the Hebrew Bible, had said to Abram is long before Abram went. Think about it. So the emphasis in the Hebrew is God said it. Then Abraham sat on it and waited before he made a move. It bespeaks the long suffering of God, because God could have killed Abram for not moving when he told him to move. But God was so long suffering that he said, I'm going to give you enough time to let it settle in your spirit before you bust a move. And I want to tell somebody this year, somebody need to type it in the comments, this year, we're not going to wait till we see another sign. When God speaks, we're going to bust moves. When God gives me a word, I'm going to bust a move. When God says go after it, I'm going after it. If God says wait, I'm going to wait. This year, I'm going to be intentional, and whatever God told me to do, I'm going to do it. Who don't like it, they've got to deal with it, take that up with God. But I want you to understand, and you got to tell people, whoever bless me, God said he's going to bless them. Oh, if you're bold enough, I need you to type it in the comments. Anybody that blesses me from this day forward, I speak a 100-fold blessing over their life. You're not going to be able to give to me and God don't give it back more than the way you got it. I'm talking pressed down, good measure, pressed down, shaken together and running over. I need you to type it there. Anybody that blesses me, God getting ready to bless them back. In order to handle that, listen at this, in order to handle that, I need an anchor of stability so that I can manage the change. And the way I do that is by staying rooted and grounded in the Word. If we're going to live our best life, we've got to always remember that the best life, the God quality life, doesn't come by happenstance. We've got to be intentional. And we've got to remember that it was God that caused us to prosper. Don't ever forget God. When you get the business, keep God first. When you get the debt counsel, keep God first. When you get the extra bonus money, keep God first. When the kids call you and tell you I'm saved, still keep God first. Don't just think it was you and your wisdom. Make sure you're rooted and grounded in the fact that if it wasn't for God, I wouldn't be experiencing what I'm experiencing. Come on, everybody stand. We're getting ready to pray. What are you saying, Pastor Ren? I must make sure if I'm going to experience and live the God kind of life, I've got to keep God first. Keep my focus on him. And then I've got to speak those things that be not as though they were. Come on, we're getting ready to pray. My prayer for you in the cyber sanctuary is that you remember it is the Lord that gives you the power to get wealth. Come on, I want to say it again. It is the Lord that gives you the power to get wealth. It is the Lord. Remember the Lord when you're coming up, because he's the one that sustains you when you were down. Father, I thank you for this word. Thank you for the millionaires. Thank you for the transfer of wealth that you're sending to your people. Thank you for the blessings, the overflow that's coming into our lives, that's overtaking us. And God, we're declaring right now, anybody that blesses us, you're going to bless them. Anybody that helps us, you're going to help them. Anybody that encourages us, you're going to encourage them. But on the contrary, anybody that curses us, God, you said you're going to curse them. We're not going to spend a lot of time with haters this year. We're not spending time on negative people. God, we're not going to text back. We're not going to tweet back. We're not going to get back. We're going to just keep on walking because our best days are still ahead of us. Thank you for making us the head and not the tail. Thank you for making us above only and not beneath. God, thank you for blessing everything and everybody connected to us. We give you glory, we give you honor, and we give you praise right now because you've given us a promise that the enemy can't stop. It's in your Son, Jesus the Christ's name, we pray. Let every glad heart say amen. Listen.
Act like you can't tell who made this new gospel, homie. Take 6 and take this, haters. That don't kill me, can only make me stronger. I need you to hurry up now, cause I can't wait much longer. I know I got to be right now, cause I can't get much longer. Man, I've been waiting all night now. That's how long I've been on ya. Me like right now. That don't kill me, can only make me stronger. I need you to hurry up now, cause I can't wait